How to keep young people in Michigan has been the question leaders have been trying to answer for years, and it was addressed again here on Mackinac Island at the Detroit Regional Chamber Mackinac Policy Conference at the Fab 5 meeting. Some of it has to do with the turnaround of the city of Detroit and public transportation.
There was strong conversation this morning with Governor Snyder, you, Mr. Mayor, and I believe Mayor Hartwell of Grand Rapids. The message that we cannot turn around Michigan until we turn around Detroit. That has been stated by Governor Snyder, and in this morning's session, he said it again, and this morning's session confirmed just that. How can we help with rebuilding the urban core of Detroit without feeling, it's specifically for you gentlemen and the people that you represent, that you're taking from your own constituencies? And I'll start with you, Mark Hackel.
I go back to the governor's speech earlier today. He was talking about forward positive action. And if you recognize what he said with forward positive action, not attitude. He's talking about action. It's actually moving and doing things that are positive. And I think all too often there's been such a negative conversation that goes on about some of the problems and the issues that are happening. I look at this mayor in the city of Detroit who's doing a great job in his attempt to try to revitalize the interest in the city of Detroit, get us to understand that is our urban setting. I think there's a question that comes to me quite often where people are asking, what are you going to do to try to urbanize, Macomb County? As Conan mentioned, what there's specific assets we bring to the region as a county, and we want to continue to do that. There's a value-added proposition in Macomb County that's basically people want to be in Macomb County. They want to live there. There's a reason why. It's not so much economic development as it is community development. What do I mean by that? People made a conscious effort over the last 10 years to move to Macomb County. They came there for a particular reason. It wasn't because we moved a new plant or a new company in Macomb County. During that 10 years, there was a vast exodus of people in the state of Michigan. 53,000 people moved to Macomb County for a reason. We're trying to use the demographers to give us an understanding who came and where they came from. But the reality is we believe it's because they felt comfortable about the educational opportunities for their kids, affordable housing, safe neighborhoods. What we need to do is help the city of Detroit get that same feeling back into their neighborhoods. And I know this mayor is attempting to do just that. We want to help them because we realize that is our urban setting. Anywhere I go outside of the state of Michigan, when people ask me where I'm from, I tell them I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
Well put, Mark Hackel, and we've talked about it before on this stage and elsewhere, that for the longest time, if you talk to somebody, if you're traveling and you're on an airplane, you have a conversation with the person to seat next to you, and you'd say where you're from. If they were within 250 miles of Chicago, they would say, I'm from Chicago. And the same person, if they at that time were from 15 miles outside of Detroit, never said, I'm from Detroit, I'm from outside of Detroit. And we are saying we're from Detroit, but we all understand that how Detroit goes, so goes the state, as the governor has, again.
I don't know if the audience has, if you're aware, I have a vested interest on Dave succeeding. We go to Wall Street every year to make our case for why we should be maintained a AAA community, AAA bond rating, which is the highest we can get. We've had it now for 13 years. The last 2 years, Moody's and Standard & Poor's made it very clear. They said if Detroit was into a receivership, if they go into a emergency financial manager, God forbid a Chapter 9, which is a bankruptcy, Brooks, you lose your AAA. That means I lose bragging rights, but my taxpayers get hit with about a $2 to $3 million increase in expense recovery, because that's the advantage of having AAA. You borrow at the lowest interest rates. If I lose it, the cost of business goes up and the cost of the taxpayers goes up. So after that first meeting, I came home and Dave knows. I called him on the phone and said, Dave, this is Brooks. I'm your new best friend. What can I do now? And so we do it. And a lot of it is offers on the table. I've got a great finance team. Dave is available. Top IT guy, Phil Berlini. We're now recognized #1 IT community government in this country. So all that's available. Dave is available. He sent people out. We talk. We try to say, look, this is how we do our business, and if it's applicable to you, by all means, we'll sit down and show you how we do our 3-year. We're the only county in America that has a 3-year rolling budget. It ain't rocket science. We can teach people how to do. They get them to that advantage and that long lookout. So I have talent. I think we all talk about the in-house talent. It's been made available today on call. He has call.
Robert?
Sure. You would say probably as long as the session's been going on historically with the conference, one of the things I think everybody's always said that Detroit is the center, and we are reflective of how well the city's doing with the rest of the state. Now's not the time to just talk about it. Now's the time that we do have to take action to make sure that Detroit is going to be successful. And some of those actions might be very difficult and tough decisions. But for example, and I know the mayor brought it up, transportation. We will rise up as a region. We will rise up even better as a city with public transportation, and it's throughout the region. I mean, those are tough decisions. Talking about those are tough decisions that have to be made in the future. And we can combine it, and we're all cooperating. The old days of silos are really going away, where everybody had the resources to do that. But now's the time to seriously talk about shared services. I know the mayor and I have talked about that, whether it's the prisoners, the jail situation, working with them, public discussion or private discussion, I should say, about the health department, things like that. So besides talking about it now, we have to actually start making some of those tough decisions to make sure that Detroit is lifted up. And it also goes to all of us. We are the best ambassadors for this city. If a neighbor or a friend or someone calls you up and they're from another state, a lot of times the first time they say, hey, you know, it's, in Detroit it wasn't that bad, but sometimes the bad stories comes directly from some of the people they're talking to. Let's all be the positive ambassadors for the city of Detroit and rise all of us up.
Your thoughts, Conan?
You know, I always look at Southeast Michigan as a tale of two cities. We got a strong Ann Arbor, we got a strong Detroit, and we have a strong region. We bring such incredible talent into Washtenaw County. These young people, 18, 19, 20 years old, coming to study, becoming the best in their business. And then they graduate and they start to look around for that urban experience. And they're leaving us. They're going to Chicago or Atlanta or LA. And we want them to stay right here in the city of Detroit. Ann Arbor doesn't want to beat Detroit. We want a strong Detroit. So we keep those people here. So the more partnership we have with the city, the better.
We need collaboration. We know that at all levels of government, well established across the state. For one Michigan voice in Washington, states across the nation seem to be doing a better job of this and leveraging more resources back to their states. And Michigan doesn't have that reputation for this level of collaboration, giving us a competitive disadvantage for federal dollars. Mr. Mayor?
I think everybody constantly talks about how important Detroit is to the state of Michigan. I think it's way beyond that. I think Detroit is important to this country, very much so. And I think the collaboration between us, as far as Washington, D.C. is concerned, each of us, I think, have our own access points in Washington, D.C. And we've got to use those to our individual benefits, but also we've got to collaborate, I think, and say, what can we do? What can we expect? What's the message we need to take down to Washington for Southeastern Michigan? And that's one of the things that I think we can do together and have some success in.
We, of course, heard from Governor Rick Snyder, who is focused on collaboration, public and private partnerships, and investment in our state. This is essential to keeping the young generation in Michigan. I'm Gianni Crawford reporting for Youth Neighborhood News, where we bring you the younger side of the news.